Okay. So yeah, let's take a look at this.
What's going on, everybody? It's Frito here for your Overwatch. Happy launch day. Today we're going to be doing a tier list. Having played for multiple days pre-release against some top level creators, I feel like I have a pretty good feed on the power level of all the characters in the game. We're going to think about this for the average level of solo queue play on both PC and console. Kicking it off, let's look at the supports. Kiriko, I'm going to slap right into A tier. The reason is in solo queue, you're going to find that she has a lot of flexibility to play around your teammates in the way that they want to play. Similar to playing a character like Zarya, who's very flexible. If your teammate is feeding or playing defensive, you can kind of choose your playstyle. Kiriko is that way, where if they're on a flank, maybe you join them.
That's pretty much what I've heard too. Is that she's really good, but I don't know where they were going to place her, but that she is like.
If they're playing defensive, you can interrupt the enemy's big plays with Suzu and lots of healing. Kiriko is most definitely capable of main healing at least one target. She's not going to be able to area of effect heal so well, but you often won't need that in a very flanky style metagame. Kiriko's teleport cooldown is so low, you kind of can just be wherever you need to be, and as long as you are good with the timing of her abilities and can aim a little bit for the head when you need to, Kiriko is going to feel very flexible. Now, her peak power might not be the best. As the meta starts to get figured out a little bit and stabilizes later in the season, you might find that she's not so necessary. Next up, into the S tier for solo queue, we're going to say Lucio. In a game where there's a lot of speed boosts moving around, speed is a big currency. Getting in and out or simply just dodging an engagement or an ultimate like Kitsune Rush has a ton of value. Especially when we look at the top characters in the other categories, you have to think to yourself, can you survive a fight against the Genji? I don't find Poke to be too strong, and with so many flankers, Lucio either can defend against them or go in aggressive with them. We'll populate the rest of the A tier really quick, and just note that Zenyatta's Discord Orb, I think still is like the single most powerful ability in Overwatch for the support category. You're gonna find that Discord
I don't know if I agree with that, but I fucking love Zenyatta, thank God.
Orb is really good at covering.
And he has his fucking kick now. He has to put, wait, I wonder if they still have that. I hope they still have that. I think they do. But yeah, good. Love Zenyatta's
weaknesses, because her damage overall isn't that great. Her dueling is good, but you're going to notice that you can't really wear down tanks very easily with Kiriko that have shields that block her damage and makes her poke look meaningless. Zenyatta's Discord Orb gives you a target.
He says tanks though, but like there's only one tank now.
Go flank and then decimate with the orb on them. Kiriko and Zen is a very insane pairing, I find, considering as well she can Suzu to protect him if he gets aggressed upon. But on the same token, it depends on your team's ability to peel for you. So if you feel like you can't be kept alive and have teamwork to survive, you'll probably have to pick another one of these other two picks or one of the ones above him with Baptiste or Brigitte. I think a lot of players.
Another fucking email. Put that in later.
Seem to be a bit low on Baptiste right now because it's so flanky, but I think you'll find, especially on the new push map, Esperanza, there's enough high ground to stabilize and really get some good angles to heal your team. And his offensive potential after the recent buff on his range and damage, I think he's kind of nasty. While he doesn't flank, he holds his position well and can output a ton of value from that turret position. Brigitte as well is another defensive option for holding position. She has mobility to get away and the crowd control a little bit to help against things like Genji, where a simple boop might knock him far enough away to not wipe your whole team. And remember, these two picks are the big area of effect healers. And this is where the tension in the metagame is going to be felt, because whereas there is characters like Zen and Kiriko that are really nuts at targeting a single thing, dealing high bursts of damage, they're not great at healing the whole team. So what happens?
I would think that single target healers are going to be way stronger now, though, because of the fact that you have one less healer, you have one less person to worry about healing.
Is characters like Brigitte and Baptiste, who are insane with area of effect healing, if the enemy fails to burst down that single target and you heal them up, you're going to get a ton of support ult, a ton of healing done, and it can feel like the whole team's unkillable. And it sort of depends on the execution of those two playstyles, which one wins out. I think some people are sleeping on the potential stats still of Baptiste and Brigitte in that regard, and if you have a bit of teamwork, you can definitely fortify a position, and there's so much value to be had in Overwatch in being able to play the objective and hold your ground. It can be expensive and difficult to do so, but don't get fooled into thinking you have to always flank and deathmatch. Oftentimes, there's power positions on maps that you can put these two characters on specifically, and they're going to really boost your ability to hold it and drain the clock, even if they aren't as offensive as some of the other options. Ana I'm a little bit worried for. I was surprised to see Overwatch League playing Ana and Zen and not Kiriko, but again, that's like the team environment, different meta altogether. So I think what you should consider is, are you able to get your ideal power position on the map, or do you feel so skilled that you can just duel squishies? Because up against tanks, if you're expecting to get loads of value just hitting your sleep and nade on a tank, well, Kiriko's probably going to cleanse it. So it's more tricky to get Ana value on this patch. Keep in mind, characters like DPS are moving faster. There's lots of move speeds, lots of flanks. I think Ana's a bit tough to play and doesn't have the AoE sustain of some of the other supports above her. The rest of the support category we're going to populate thusly. Mercy and Moira kind of feel like budget versions of Kiriko to me, or let's say like entry-level characters in comparison. Why go DPS Moira if you can use Kiriko headshot and have more of a skill ceiling? And Mercy feels kind of the same, though being able to res and
yeah, he's definitely coming from like a higher skill ceiling type of thing, because like, as you said, with the damage thing for Kiriko, you need to land your shots. You need to land your headshots, and I don't believe she's hit scan. I think there is like a projectile speed for Kiriko, which is going to definitely be hard for most people. Or maybe I might be misremembering. I might be misspeaking, but I could have sworn that she is not hit scan. While Moria is like just more, you don't have to worry too much about it. You just kind of have to be on them. Unless they change that. But she used to, like, you should be able to just like kind of hover on them and you'll lose.
Damage amp is a really big deal. Mercy and Moira just feel a bit outpaced for me. I think they're only going to get more value for you if you can't play some of the ones above them on the tier list. There's better deathball healers than Moira. There's better DPS style supports than Moira. Mercy's pocket ability is really strong, so if you have a specific hero matchup and player you're trying to sync with, either Pharah, Echo, Ashe maybe, but Kiriko's healing is so strong at 70 heals per second, even though you're going to lose that damage amp in the poke phase, you're still going to have a lot of pocket single target healing. So that's how the support category is panning out for me. Now let's move on to the tanks in the game. We're going to keep knocking out the S tier right away. We have Winston and Sigma up here at the top. Winston is nutty on this patch for a combination of reasons. I'd say having a barrier is something that you can engage around, and when you have a very all-in mobility style of play where you either need to go attack or defend quickly, Winston has a lot of options to mold the engagement in his favor, whether responding to a dive or deciding to go in aggressive.
I'll be curious if I think they nerfed Junker Queen, because I thought Junker Queen was being used a lot in competitive mode.
Because Winston can dive in, put a bubble down, and the flankers come with, Kiriko comes with, the whole gang comes along. It's pretty tough to beat. Not to mention, I'm going to spoil the upcoming video on how to counter Kiriko a little bit. One of her best counters to me is the defensive tanks, the ones that have barriers or anti-damage mitigation abilities that are able to stop that Kitsune rush from just rolling over your whole team. Being able to put a barrier down might slow down the advancement of some of that offense, whereas otherwise, if you have a tank that doesn't have any defense, well, it's just so easy to roll you over because there's nothing to stop it. Sigma, I got an S mainly because there's a few maps where he's going to be the default pick if it's a sniper style map and you don't have to dive up and down on high ground too much, or if your comp is playing around that, he's kind of the best for that. He's got an insane damage output, some defenses, and a lot of flexibility in order to interact with some of the best stuff in the game. But I think he's by no means easy to play. He just has that potential. So keep in mind, don't outstretch and expect to be able to get pocketed. That's not what Sigma does. He kind of like holds a position, turrets up, sort of like Batiste might want to. Hit your shots and don't expect to W or get W'd on or you'll fall over. Last for the S tier, we're going to put Zarya, who's going to interact with the rest of the game. I'm actually going to put her above Sigma at the last moment here because especially when you see a DPS character all in on your backline and you can use the bubble to...
Sorry, is my favorite character. Fucking love Zarya. So
counter it. Well, that's going to slow down their advance, make it not able to hit the DPS passive. One of the better answers against Dragonblade. Now, I will note, the Kitsune Rush ult is so insane, don't expect bubbles to like save you from that. In a similar way, Zarya's just a very flexible character right now. And like I said in my Kiriko video, being able to cleanse Zarya to give her an extra bubble almost, like another get out of jail free card, means that she can pocket Zarya and keep her alive through thick and thin and stay alive to keep that high charge up. So this is kind of the tank metagame for me and the different playstyles you might want to consider. Next, we'll populate the rest of the A tier for tanks.
So what does he have? He has Diva, cool. I like Diva. Roadhog, of course. I don't know. I don't know where I was expecting Roadhog to land.
Hog is a character a lot of players are sleeping on, I feel. Kiriko can...
Wait, so... Yeah, I wonder... I don't know. I don't know how Doomfist feels as a tank.
Cleanse, the biggest counter to Hog. So if you've got a sick Hog, it might be the time to bring him out. While some of his matchups against some of the armor tanks make him look a little weak because his damage doesn't really roll them over like he might...
The only thing I like about Hog the most is that I can just sit back and just worry about myself. I have my self-heal. I can fucking just hook people and knock them out right away. I love that shit. Actually, any characters with hook abilities I really like.
Might want to. There still feels like there's a lot of squishies roaming around that are easily hookable, and his ult is nasty, especially when you can Suzu to cleanse him from any debuff. I wouldn't sleep on Roadhog on this patch. On the other sides are the other dive tanks, Diva and Wrecking Ball. I find that Wrecking Ball is pretty underrated, has some nuts offense and playmaking, but just a little bit harder to get the same value out of as the other tanks. It's going to be sort of based on your skill. I don't think you're going to be upset playing with a Wrecking Ball if they're good at him, but it's a little easier to have some defense on your tank, and it might not feel so necessary to be all in on the offense of Wrecking Ball, especially since there's not a lot of static targets anyway. Ball's strength of like rolling in and displacing isn't really there so much. There's going to be flanking you anyway, so why not respond with your own Diva or Winston, who more easily defends and stands and fights, whereas Ball kind of wants to disrupt, and well, they're already disrupting you, so just take the fight that's coming to you. But if you do find yourself up against some of the more static playstyles, then Ball's gonna be fine. Diva recently got a buff, her armor feels quite tanky. Being able to go up and down high ground as well as peel back for some all-in dives against a character like Winston and Kiriko, you can save your Zenyatta from the brink of death with Defense Matrix. I just think overall, Winston has the stronger peak playstyle because he has ranged poke. Everybody sleeps on Winston's Tesla cannon. I got some gameplay to show you in upcoming videos, but
he has... Actually, I can't remember if that was in the original game. I never used it. I barely played Winston. He has a right click that like is like
being able to
what's her name? Symmetra.
Poke down squishy targets as they're advancing in order to set up and stage a dive means that Winston can either put the bubble down defensively or have the option to go aggressively, whereas Diva is kind of just stuck reacting and isn't as potent going deep in, because once you do so, if the enemy responds, well, now they know you don't have any defenses in the back, whereas Winston's just a little bit more flexible, I find. But I think if you're defending up against the dive, Diva is absolutely...
I don't understand what he means by that when Winston doesn't... If Diva does it and Winston does it, they're both... Okay, you have no defenses for the back line anymore. You're in here with us. I don't know.
Insane and will help you survive. Reinhardt remains in the A tier. You might think with so many flanking playstyles being so good, how can Reinhardt have a place? Well, it turns out there's a lot of maps where he just holds his ground. And a quick early tip for you in Overwatch 2, playing the objective is a lot better in Overwatch 2 than 1. And that might sound insane to say, but the truth was in Overwatch 1, team comps were so powerful that you had to interact with the way the team comps were built. And if they were too strong, going to the objective probably was just a death sentence. But in Overwatch 2, you can force your own playstyle a little bit more on these maps and get value where your character is good, as opposed to always needing to engage with the entire enemy team's comp. Team comps aren't as strong now, so there just isn't a lot of of characters that can go toe-to-toe with Reinhardt on the objective, and if he bullies his way on that fight, well, you got...
This is kind of what I was thinking when... So he's saying team... I don't know if this is what he means, but this is what I was thinking when they lowered it from 6 to 5. The individual characters need to be stronger and more relevant to, like, compensate for the fact that you are down a character. And that's what I was thinking was going to happen. Like, now that we have one less character to worry about, the individual character, kind of like Kariko, who they put out, and even a little bit of, what's her name? Junker Queen, they're much more self-sustaining. They're very much like, we can make plays and we can go do shit kind of a thing. Which is good for when you have less people. And now it's going to be less about teamwork and more about what you as an individual can do. So I don't know if that's where he's kind of trying to get across.
To get out of the way and concede some ground. So I think Ryan's quite underrated. He can really slow the game down and force you to play on his terms, and I think he's pretty good against Kariko, to be honest. You might think the flanking playstyle is a big problem for him. I'd say only if they have Discord Orb. If they don't, Kariko's damage is so low, she's never going to help get rid of the shield or even headshot him. He's got the little tiny head hitbox, got all that armor. He's really going to roll over the front line a bit up against the Kariko comp, unless she really makes some playmaking Suzus. For the most part, with how natural Reinhardt is to play around, I still think you're safe playing him. Orisa got a buff, but I'm still not convinced that this character is necessary in the metagame at any point. Like, I think it's matchup specific. The skill floor in Orisa is actually a lot higher than some of the other tanks, and I just think the Overwatch community maybe hasn't got enough time on the character to have lots of us be masters at her. I just think that she's so farmable by a lot of characters and usually not that much of a threat. She's kind of a gimmicky hero that when she lands her abilities, she looks really good, but a lot of the other times she just doesn't seem to contribute much. After talking her down this much, I almost feel like I should drop her lower, but she did get some playtime in Owl, so maybe there's something I'm missing. They've tried to tweak her up and down, and I just don't know what she's supposed to interact with in the game, to be honest. And that's kind of how I feel now about Junker Queen, who both her and Doomfist, you're going to need to be a specialist at all three of these heroes down here at the bottom that don't really have any direct teamwork impact. The thick DPS tank playstyle isn't actually that strong, I feel, unless you're nuts on that pick. I also feel like these are the tanks that are the easiest to counter. I say there's not really hard counters in Overwatch 2. These three with the minimal tanking defenses sort of feel like the easiest tanks to counter, or characters in general in the whole game, when you put a Discord Orb on them and have a few decent hero picks on your side. Remember, Junker Queen's bleed ability can be cleansed, same with her anti from her ultimate. Doomfist was sort of nerfed into the ground and never buffed back, and I think Orisa just requires the enemy not knowing what to do against her, but we've got videos on the channel on how to counter her if you're struggling, so check that out. I think that still holds up on launch day patch. Onto the DPS picks now. Genji all the way into S tier. DPS passive helps him the most, and if you look at the type of characters that are good right now, Genji syncs up with their playstyle quite well. Made a whole video dedicated to Genji, of course. I just think he's really flexible, doesn't have too many bad matchups, without a lot of stuns or easy abilities in the game. Having the mobility to navigate the fight, set up pincers, and respond to the enemy in a very natural way, as well as a very underrated reflect, which is a sick defense ability in Overwatch 2. In Overwatch 1, it was kind of a joke, but now that's legit going to get you a lot of value, especially with the big bursts of damage that come through, whether it's a Konsuni Rush or some target focus fire. Genji's reflect is a huge tool in order to interact with the game. We're going to populate the rest of the A tier here with a bunch of picks that are very flexible.
Okay, so we got Reaper, Soldier, and Sorgen. Oh wait, he populated a lot. Okay, hold on. So no more S tiers. Yeah, Reaper, Soldier, Sorgen, and that's still A. I thought it went down to B. Fuck, I always forget her name. Sombra, Ashe, and Echo. Interesting.
In their positioning, make good use of the DPS passive. That's going to be Reaper, Soldier, Sojourn, and Sombra especially. Those picks really enjoy being able to speed up to chase down.
I heard people talking up Sombra a lot because of I think her new hack ability now. I don't know if I think it still disables abilities, maybe just for a shorter time, but it also puts a 50% bonus damage on them, similar to Discord Orb. Or maybe it's not 50, it might be 25. I don't know. It's just a damage bonus. You do extra damage to them.
And to get a kill using their resources and getting away, that's pretty big. Don't underrate that. Like, people always think about the snowball mechanic, but the anti-feed mechanic of retreating with the speed boost is a huge deal. The reload boost is kind of neither here nor there, but they play well with the Kariko and against one. Don't underestimate the ability of a character like Reaper to Wraith form to dodge a Dragon Blade, which is incredibly powerful right now, or Sombra to hack him and get away. Those mobility options to navigate the fight, be a bit defensive, and target focus fire is really big. So those picks...
Never mind.
...are strong.
I was going to say... Reaper, when they changed, I still think the best thing they ever did with Reaper was just being able to fucking choose when you come out of Wraith form. I love that shit. That was such a good buff. Oh, it was so good. I love it.
I've got Ashe a little bit.
I used to not like Reaper, like, because of that, because, like, whenever you would Wraith form, they would know exactly how long you would have until you're out of it, and if you did it, you couldn't capitalize on it. You couldn't just, like, use it to, like, you couldn't use it to just reload instantly. You get a free instant reload, which is awesome, and you can't just do it to, like, sidestep a special, like, so, like, if you would, like, go up, like, so maybe Hog would hook you. You should normally defeat Hog, but maybe you'd hook you, maybe you'd instantly Wraith, and he would have enough time to reload and everything. But now, if anyone starts reloading, I instantly just pop out of Wraith and you can start shooting him again.
Higher on the list that I'm comfortable with. I'm taking the advice from some friends that she's pretty good right now. I think because you're not going to see too much Ana, Bob is just going to go uncontested, and that's a huge ultimate again for playing the objective and just being in a complete...
They fixed it, guys. So now we're actually going to get in.
annoyance. Really hard to get flanked when you got Bob by your side. Ashe as well can kind of dynamically play and position on the map with her mobility, but I'll warn if the game feels a bit too flanky and you don't have the protection or teamwork or team comp to keep Ashe alive, she might be an easy dive target, so look out for that. Echo is kind of similar to Genji, where she just plays Overwatch 2 quite well. On paper, it should feel like she's not very good because of all the other things that you would think could counter her, but her abilities are just so strong, even though she can get shot out of the air. She'd be even stronger if like Mercy was a better option, for example, but as it stands, she's sort of like a budget Genji. But she does have better range than him, and if you're defending, you might prefer Duplicate to add more sustain to the
It's a budget Genji.
team fight. Keep in mind, if they have a Kiriko, it's pretty tough for her to shoot an Echo. Whereas Zen, Bap, Mercy, these picks enable the range battle a lot better. Kiriko's kind of on the ground flanking. The more low ground the enemy team comp is focused on, then Echo has plays to make from the sky. Focusing beam is nuts still. There's little things that stop it, so get something half and kill it for free. That's pretty strong in my opinion. For whatever reason, I forgot to put Tracer in this list. We're going to put her somewhere around here. I think Reaper's a much easier option. Remember, Tracer's damage is lower in Overwatch 2, but of course in the flanking metagame, she has to be considered a top pick if you have the skills to play her. I just think Soldier, Reaper, Genji are a bit easier, but if you got the skills, she can go in with a Winston dive too. Now looking at the B tier, these are picks that I don't find so threatening.
Okay, we got Hanzo. Also hate Hanzo. Fashion my Junker Cream Junkrat. Farah. Torbjorn, and what do I got? Sorry, I'm really bad with
But
names.
not terrible. You can consider them as options if you favor your own skill in a matchup against something the enemy is playing, but I don't know if you ever need to play any of these picks. Even on a sniper-dominant map, I don't know if you even need to snipe with how strong running at the enemy has been on the current build. Bastion, Mei, Junk, Cassidy are really good tank busters, but I don't know if you feel that's too necessary, and the more that the enemy is playing like a dive style, well, they're going to dodge your tank busting anyway. It sort of depends. We'll give the B tier here all of this sort of map, matchup, and skill depending. I can see these picks be fine, but I don't think they're necessary at any point. And the last character that we have for the list is Symmetra. Is she C or D? I don't know. I think you can pick her on Li Jiang, and good luck anywhere else. That's how I feel about Symmetra. Everything I said about these tank busty kind of space control type DPS goes for Symmetra as well, and I think she's just less flexible, and because so much of her power is in her teleporter, you're going to need to be in a pre-made team, I think, to communicate and coordinate around it as effectively as a top-tier OWL team might be able to. Guys, that's everything for our launch day tier list. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. Love to know if you're enjoying playing Overwatch.
No, I will not. Oh, let's see IGN's review of the game.
If you're going to show, now would be a good time.
Is Overwatch 2 truly a sequel? It's a question that has lingered around the second iteration of Blizzard's multiplayer shooter ever since its unveiling in 2019, and one that intensified when it was revealed that it will fully replace the existing Overwatch, not exist alongside it. Well, now it's finally in our hands, and I can say that while it's less of a reinvention and more of an evolution of the intense, nuanced, and brilliantly colourful team-based battle that made its predecessor so enjoyable, it still brings enough new things to the table that it feels like its own distinct game and not simply Overwatch 1.5. The bigger question, as Overwatch 2 begins to open up to the public as a free-to-play game, is how many of those new ideas are positive changes. Different is, after all, not synonymous with better, and there are definite improvements here, just not universally so.
Sorry, it's very loud. Turn it down a little bit.
Because it's not a radical reinvention, Overwatch 2 still revolves around the exciting, team-based hero shooter gameplay that made the original such a massive hit when it launched in 2016. Its sheer variety and character design across its 35 heroes, the ways in which they each feel unique to control, and the charm bursting from every scene remain clear to see. Everybody's weapons still feel fantastic to wield, and a full pass to the sounds they produce, and a slight visual glow-up only adds to the empowering joy of battle. Its highs and lows, from the delight of those last-second tactical switch-ups to the agony of a teammate refusing to step onto the objective at a crucial moment, have yet to be fully replicated by any game since.
No!
Outside of the fact that Overwatch 2 is a free-to-play game, by far the biggest shake-up that comes with the sequel is the move from its traditional 6v6 matches to a smaller 5v5 format. It's just too few players in the arena, but it represents a huge ideological shift in which tangible repercussions are immediately felt. Aside from the potential horror of discovering you were the 6th best Overwatch player out of your friends and finding yourself the odd person out, it comes with both blessings and curses. It fully drags Overwatch 2 out of the stagnant meta swamp its predecessor found itself in over the past couple of years, but also denies itself some of the luster of its satisfying team play. Team compositions now consist of...
Wait, People have been saying this. I don't fully understand the logic behind it. Because of 5v5, it's now no longer about like meta swapping, so like countering and everything. I don't understand why that people are saying. I don't get that.
swamp its predecessor found itself in over the past couple of the 6th best Overwatch player out of your friends and finding yourself the odd person out, it comes with both blessings and curses. It fully drags Overwatch 2 out of the stagnant meta swamp its predecessor found itself in over the past couple of years, but also denies itself some of the luster of its satisfying team play. Team compositions now consist of 2 damage, 2 support, and just 1 tank character. On one hand, this huge shift in team composition is a thrilling breath of fresh air, and critically, something significant to set Overwatch 2 apart from its predecessor. It's a true test of skill that promotes aggressive play and gives one-on-one fights much more significance than before. The reduction in stun abilities that halt you in your tracks or interrupt powers definitely helps the flow of a match, even if it does mean my beloved Cassidy admittedly no longer has his trusty flashbang. On the other hand, Overwatch 2 appears to be moving away from the tactical teamplay that originally made it unique among shooters. It just feels like some of that satisfying team-centric magic has been lost in the process of shifting to 5v5. While it does mean that attritional shield battles thankfully appear to be a thing of the past, moments like perfectly timed ultimate combos are now a rarer sight. Matches often feel much more like sets of deathmatch skirmishes rather than long tactical battles. Many characters have been successfully reworked to fit into Blizzard's new 5v5 vision. Orisa, one of Overwatch's sturdiest defensive heroes, has undergone the most significant philosophical shift in terms of how Overwatch 2 is intended to be played by tank players. Her radical transformation from a reliable anchor to a mobile damage dealer is evident just by looking at her new skill set, but it's felt even more on the battlefield. Nowhere is this change in philosophy more apparent than in the removal of her football net-shaped energy shield. As more and more barrier wielders were added to the original Overwatch over time, frustrations with shield-heavy metas rose. These initial adjustments to Overwatch 2 clearly address this, and thankfully, those multi-shield days feel a distant memory due to the significant reduction in barriers being available to deploy. Outside of reworks, there are new heroes joining the party too, one from each class in fact, which brings the full roster to an impressive 35 in total. Sojourn, the newest damage character, is armed with a rapid-fire railgun and offers a fresh and viable alternative to Soldier 76. She doesn't reinvent the wheel, but her nimble skid and super jump combo, mixed in with her hard-hitting secondary fire, can be deadly. Kiriko is a ninja healer who shares some of her moveset with the damage-dealing Genji, but in reality, she plays more like Moira or Mercy, dashing in and out of the action to aid teammates and dish the odd headshot out with a kunai. She takes a little time to get used to, but can be very effective in highly skilled hands. My pick of the new addition so far though is Junker Queen. An aggressive tank, her abilities really sing when chained together as you swing her axe, throw a boomerang-like knife into someone, and finish them off with a shotgun blast. All three of these heroes are as well designed as you'd expect of Overwatch 2's pedigree, and are packed full of character, from their distinct looks to vibrant voice work. Beyond the shift to 5v5, a big addition to the sequel is the introduction of a brand new mode, Push. It's essentially a game of tug of war, with a Baymax-like robot pushing a barrier through a map on behalf of whichever team is closest to him. It does a great job of centralizing the fight, with both teams focusing on a shared objective, and the more I've played it, the more it's grown on me. As with a real-life tug of war, Push is largely centered on momentum, and thus is very hard to wrestle back once things aren't going in your favor. This does mean that on those rare occasions when you do manage to turn the tide, it feels like a real team achievement though. A thrill that is so synonymous with Overwatch's other modes. I can see it becoming a real hit. The maps that accompany Push are all well put together, with the traditional mix of winding streets and tight choke points that Blizzard has always implemented effectively into its arenas. They're all lovingly crafted, with art and sound working in harmony to create little details that build into charm-filled holes. The 6 new additions that come with the sequel are no exception, with the Rio de Janeiro inspired map being my current favourite. Its charming carnival-themed payload that you navigate to Lucio's club showcases the joy Overwatch 2's maps can bring when they fuse both gameplay and character together. A thing of the past for Overwatch are loot boxes. The long controversial gambling mechanic that has now been replaced by a more modern battle pass system, costing 1,000 Overwatch coins or around $10 to buy. Each 9-week season will bring with it a new series of tiers to make your way through, unlocking a variety of cosmetics from voice lines to sprays as you collect XP. Blizzard has laid out a schedule by which each subsequent season will bring a new map, hero, or sometimes...
Hold on. So we got Season 1, we got 3 new heroes, 6 new maps, new game mode, 30 plus new skins. New tank hero. Oh, we're getting another new tank hero? New map in December? That feels pretty quick. New mythic skin. So no new mythic skin. Oh, well, I mean, it says new skin, so I'm sure. New battle pass, of course. There was new map.
Both to Overwatch 2, in a cadence not too dissimilar from when its predecessor initially launched. Having had a sneak peek at what's the...
I don't know how they're gonna choose the mythic skins. There's only one character. There's 2 characters, and that would be Zarya and fucking Zenyatta. If they get mythic skins,
come in the next few theme
I'll have to fucking get it.
seasons, there are definitely some characters, locations, and even ambitious...
I'm super upset they chose Genji as the first mythic skin person. I would have been fine if it was like Tracer or something like that, but goddamn, fuck Genji.
New modes worth looking forward to. It genuinely feels like an exciting time to be an Overwatch fan again, and for that, I'm more than grateful. I do have some slight worries about upcoming heroes being part of the premium battle pass tier and not instantly available to all though. That model pushes that pay-to-win door slightly ajar, in the sense that if a new hero is introduced who is particularly powerful or crucial to the evolving meta, then someone can choose to buy their way up the battle pass tiers, something we've seen, inadvertently or not, happen with Activision and the introduction of Call of...
People are also saying this. I'm iffy about it. Wait, what is this doing? I'm iffy about that only because, yes, there's a little bit of pay to win being there, but it's pay to win for the non-competitive mode, for the quick play mode. Because yeah, say they're super overpowered and you would have someone can just like buy their way up to the tiers and all that shit and get, or not buy their way up to tiers. If you just buy the battle pass, you get them instantly. Someone can just spend money, get them instantly and start playing them. But in competitive, you can only play competitive if you have all the heroes. So they're kind of locking you out unless you buy it, or if you wait for it to go either 1, you buy it, 2, you get up to the battle pass and then you unlock them, or 3, you don't get the battle pass, you wait for it to go completely free, and then you have to like complete a challenge to get them. I think it's like, I think they said, for an example, for Kiriko, after the battle pass, maybe you like win 10 support games and you unlock her. And that seems okay. I definitely agree that every person who plays competitive should have all the heroes. So if you don't have all the heroes, get fucked. But it would, I mean, of course it would be better for everyone. It would be better for, well, it would be better for consumers if whenever they release the hero, you just had instant access to them. And it does realize that they are using that as a way to like increase their sales and shit. Like, it's obvious that that's what they're doing.
Duty weapons to Warzone. The fact that each hero won't be available to use in competitive play for the first 3 weeks of existence is a fair navigation of this issue, however. Admittedly,
Wait, they also said, unless I'm crazy, maybe I just spoke shit. I don't know why he didn't bring it up. I could have sworn they said that unless you have all the heroes, you cannot play competitive. So once she's unlocked for, so originally she's not unlocked for competitive until then. Once they open competitive for her, I think you can only play if you have her. I might be missing.
my most anticipated seasonal content is not due until 2023. That's the story-centric PvE modes. The promise of more Overwatch lore is what has had me most excited since the sequel's reveal, and what could truly set it apart from its predecessor. It's a shame that none of this has made it in time for lore.
I can understand when Overwatch 1 came out, there definitely was that sentiment of being like, oh, I really want to know the story and all that shit, and like the back stuff for all that everything, and that was interesting, and it would have been cool to have a single-player story for that. I don't know if people still care about that. Maybe they do, but people who play Overwatch now, I don't think care.
But it's still something I eagerly await nonetheless. So, if the pertinent question to ask about Overwatch
It's still gonna be fun. I'm not saying it can't be fun. I just don't know if people actually care about it anymore.
2 is simply if it's a fun game, then the answer right now is yes. It's still a fundamentally great hero shooter, just one that is perhaps not currently operating at the towering height of its powers. Perhaps that greatness will be recaptured over time, as the community provides feedback through our many victories and defeats to come, and Overwatch 2 fulfills the promise of its newly rebuilt foundations.
Verdict.
Overwatch 2 breathes new life into what was once the sharpest multiplayer shooter around, before it had its edges severely dulled by
Give me
Blizzard's
the
attention
number.
shifting away. The switch to smaller 5v5 matches ushers in a new brawler age for Overwatch, where individual duels take precedence over tactical team play, and crucially, all but a handful of shields have been thrown out of the arena. The new heroes and maps hit the mark, while Push is one mode that could develop into a fan favourite over time. The fundamentals are all set for Overwatch to shine as it once did in the multiplayer shooter scene once again, and the future definitely looks bright with what is set to come over the following
Wait, did they get rid of her?
multiplayer shooter.
Oh, they did. Oh, he was also playing a controller. What is he doing? Oh, they got rid of her thing. She had a like a weird. Oh wait, is that? Yeah, she did. Wait.
Scene once
Did
again.
they- actually, now I don't know. Is her E a floating orb, or is that the like?
Hit the mark, while Push is one mode that could
You'll.
develop into a
Do you? Oh shit. Do you push now, or do you? When you put up your she has the grasp still, but when she uses her E and she throws out a healing orb, do you no longer have the damage orb? Is it still the like little explosion thing?
fan favourite over time. The fundamentals are all set for Overwatch to shine as it once did in the multiplayer
Oh, no,
shooter
it's still
scene
the
once
orb.
again,
Okay,
and the
sorry.
future
Okay.
definitely looks bright with what is set to come over the following months. I can't review Overwatch 2 on what it could potentially be though, and instead can only judge what's in front of me at launch, and
What are
that
you gonna
is a
do?
very fun team-based FPS, packed full of charm and love for the world it takes place in, and one that I can't wait to lose hundreds more hours playing.
Hey, okay. That's cool.
For more on Overwatch 2, check out the 10 major changes for the sequel, and for everything else Overwatch,
I think that'd be so difficult. There we go. Okay, let's watch this. I don't know what this is. Someone else's? Is this like fan made?
Hope. We treat it like some sort of wish. But it's not something we can let the universe decide. It's up to us. When we come together, this is when hope is forged. And when we do, it becomes a force more powerful than any weapon.
What is this a trailer for?
It moves faster than the speed of light. Brings giants to their knees. And wins battles that are lost. So although at times it can be torn down to a shred,
What
now,
is this?
more
Like,
than ever,
what
hope is in our hands.
That's weird. I don't know. Okay. That's a weird trailer. I don't understand the point of it. Actually, we'll watch this. too. Watch another tier list, just so we have a feeling of difference. This guy makes a lot of YouTube, a lot of Overwatch videos. See what he says.
These are the best heroes in Overwatch 2 right now. Let's do this. Now, it must be said, Overwatch 2 is brand new. This means the meta is brand new. So there is going to be a period of time where the game is in flux as everybody tries to work out who are the strongest and who are the weakest heroes and what is the best team comp. So you can, in theory, play any hero you like and just keep playing them and see what happens. However, this video is going to be about ranking the best heroes. I'm just going to tell you who's the best right now based off high-level play. And generally what happens in Overwatch's history is the high-level play tends to trickle down the ladder. With the D.Va, you could throw in a Tracer, you can throw in a Sojourn instead of the Tracer, but I think the main heroes you're going to see in use all of the time are definitely going to be the rapid move, healing for the purpose of this. Based on the buffs they've got transitioning over to Overwatch 2, these are the best heroes, and you can just play these all of the time. Amazing, these are the heroes which are just, well, amazing. They'll work pretty much all of the time as well, but they're not as good as the S. This is where there's going to be all heroes because they just don't. I think allied it's taken.
So he
Kiriko is S tier. High mobility, high damage. She's got amazing survivability. She can prevent allied players taking damage, remove them from basically she phases them out of the game for a second. But this also cleanses them. It also heals them a little bit. She's got great burst healing when she's close range. It's like, what can this hero not do? She is the first 5v5 hero. That is the hero that's been designed for 5v5. So it's no shock that she's here. And also she's in the battle pass. So going by the battle pass. Hey, Blizz. But yeah, she's the best basically. Now we're going to move on to. I think actually we'll do. Let's do. I think we've got to go for Genji because Genji is mega powerful. Reason why Genji's powerful, it's quite simple. Oh, and actually on Kiriko as well. Her ultimate is amazing. It just is amazing. So you've got to think increased attack speed, increased movement speed, decreased cooldown on abilities. So it's just crazy. It's an engage tool. It's a tool you can use in a fight to win a fight. There's like you can just think of like Roadhog when he uses whole hog. If he's standing in Kiriko's ultimate, the damage is just insane. It's ridiculous. So she's crazy. Genji though, well, Genji loves 5v5. Genji is highly mobile, high burst damage, an amazing ultimate. But not only that, there are no stuns really in Overwatch. When you look at this guy, Cassidy, he's not S tier Cassidy by the way, but if you look at Cassidy used to be able to counter Genji quite effectively. We can't do that anymore because he doesn't have a stun. And there's a bunch of other heroes like Brick. Brick could just shut him down. Not anymore because she doesn't have a stun. You know, the list just goes on and on. Stuns have been removed from this game really. They've just turned powerful. And of course, with Genji, the quintessential dive tank. He's got high survivability, he's got high mobility, he's got a decent little bit of range poke. It's not the best, but it's good for securing kills. Obviously, he's Winston, so he's massive, he absorbs a ton of damage. Basically, you can play Winston very aggressively in Overwatch 2. So if you're just like a YOLO feed your brains out type of player, you will be amazing in Overwatch 2 because you'll just literally dive into the enemy team and you're like highly survivable. But it's that whole getting in there, disrupting the enemy, dropping the barrier. And barriers are still really strong in Overwatch 2. They're incredibly strong, and they're even stronger because there's less barriers. That's the way to look at it. So double barrier was a terrible comp because nobody got to play the game. But with just one barrier in play, it's fine. And Winston is actually got one of the better barriers in the game just because of the way it works. Because if you jump onto a support and drop a barrier, well, they ain't gonna be able to heal through that probably. And you can use the barrier to your advantage to duke in and out of the barrier. So Winston is just absolute god top tier tank. But you know what? There is another top tier tank, right? Now I did speak about D.Va a little bit, but I'm not actually going to put D.Va in the top tier. I'm going to put D.Va in the A tier. But I'm not, in fact, I'll just put it there now, just so I don't forget. But D.Va is going to go into the A tier. This is because D.Va isn't as good as Winston. So the S tier is reserved for literally the best tanks or the best heroes in their respective roles. Winston is just better than D.Va, but D.Va is still a really strong pick. So if you pick D.Va, you're still going to be able to get the same type of value you get as Winston. But yeah, I would just pick Winston instead of D.Va, unless there's
and it better be Zarya.
Very, I don't know, niche examples where you need D.Va's defense matrix or something like that. Apart from that, you're picking Winston. The other tank though, which is S tier, this might come as a little bit of a shock to some people. To others, I don't think it will, but it's Sigma. Now Sigma is his barrier is great, and I think the way to look at this between these two tanks is Sigma is really strong on maps where there's longer range engagement. So if you're on a map where Widowmaker is really strong, so on Monte Casino or what do they call it? I'm going to call it Monte Casino. That map anyway. The map that's in Monte Carlo, where you start in a casino. That map's got some really long sightlines. You generally get a lot of Widowmaker on that map. Well, Sigma is actually really good at shutting down those angles that Widowmaker might abuse, and Sigma's just great anyway. So he's sort of the we're coining this term brawler tank in Overwatch 2 a lot, and that's kind of what Sigma is. Even though he's a barrier tank, he's a brawler tank because he stays with his team. A dive tank is off diving away doing whatever they're doing. But Sigma, he's the other option. So if you're on a dive map, you're picking Winston. If you want more of a brawly team comp, you're picking Sigma. But you could just play any of these heroes and just be happy with it. Now I'm really happy with this because these two are probably my two favorite tanks after playing Overwatch 2 through the beta and the closed test phases and all that stuff. So I'll probably be maining these two heroes. I think they're really strong. Now there's another hero who is absolutely S tier. And now this again might come as no shock, but it is Lucio. Now you can see what we've got here. So we've got these two supports. You can play them together because Kiriko I should say, has got high healing output, which is a bit difficult to make that happen. But I think players will get used to it. But you could replace, you know, in the ideal team comp, any other main support. When I say main support, I mean a support with high healing output. Just for the context of this video, because it's really complicated when you're talking about flex supports and Overwatch and main support because the terminology is really mixed up. But just for this, main support basically someone with a ton of healing output. Whereas Lucio doesn't have a lot of that, so he's more flexible, I guess you could say. He's got movement speed buff, which is really good, and that's why basically that's it. Lucio's got movement speed buff and he's highly survivable, so he can take duels, and it's not hard for him to be killed by flankers, which there will be a lot in Overwatch 2 because remember the game's more open. But Lucio, yeah, he's just got speed boost and it's AoE, and it's amazing. He's got AoE healing as well. He can duel. He's just great. These guys are basically the best in the game right now. So I'm going to move on to the A tier, well, the A tier is the amazing tier, and this is well, I'm going to start. I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start this with BAP because I think BAP is very strong right now. BAP had a damage buff, so BAP basically does 25 damage per bullet instead of 24. And you might think, well, this isn't a lot. You got to remember he fights 3 bullets, so when you add that together, it actually means it's a substantial amount of damage. Even though it's only an increase of 3, well, let's say it's an increase of 3 per 3 shots that he fires. You know, so when you fire 3, you get what I'm going with this, right? It's a buff to damage, and it makes him a lot more able to deal with flankers that have got low HP. I guess the fancy way of putting this is it deals with his breakpoints. It basically reduces them, so he's more effective. So when he's dueling people, he's doing more damage, and it's surprising what you can be able to survive this. In fact, he can't escape. He's literally with his team. He's very slow. K's weapon's great. His grenade is okay. It's not as good as Flash, but Flash is obviously bad for other reasons, and that's not in the game anymore, so it's not even worth talking about Flash because stuns have been removed. But he is just bad, and also there's a ton of better heroes you could pick instead of him, but it's mainly because his survivability is so trashed here, he just dies, and that's a problem. But yeah, that's why BAP is really amazing, because he's just got high survivability, great healing, it actually is regenerative, if I get that right. Burst is amazingly good, because this instantly heals you when it hits you, and also applies a heal over time, and the instant heal has been increased as well when compared to Overwatch. So yeah, he's mega strong. So supports, you've got there's a lot of really good characters in the support role. I guess we'll stick with support, and we'll just throw Anna into this as well. Anna again, very strong. She's got less mobility than Baptiste, which makes it better long range healing and better burst healing. Obviously, she's got Nano, which is like an instant fight win almost all of the time. because there's hardly any way to stop it, and it's that age-old thing. Nano the Genji, and you win. It's just that will be in game after game after game, because players won't be able to stop Genji. He will be able to do whatever the hell he likes, and it'll be a bit annoying to begin with until people start shooting the Genji, or maybe Blizzard nerf him, or what, I don't know, but he's got a mythic skin, so ha ha ha, he's not going to get nerfed. But yeah, Ana's just the same old hero. She's amazing. Sleep is awesome. If you sleep people, that's again great self-protection.
Yeah,
Grenade, amazing ability. This is the other point to Ana. You can land offensive grenades all of the goddamn time. It is like Christmas in Overwatch 2. You can yeet these nades into the enemy team, and it's simply because there is only Sigma Sock, D.Va defense matrix, and barriers that will stop this going into your team. And there's only ever going to be one barrier. And if there's a D.Va on the team, just don't throw it at the D.Va, because there's only one tank, so you just throw it into the enemy team. So highly recommend using her nade way more offensively than defensively in Overwatch. There is an argument for putting Brig into S tier, but I'm not going to do that, because I do think that Kiriko and Lucio are just better, and there's only 2 support slots, so we don't want to be loading this with tons and tons of supports that are all S tier. But Brig has got mega high survivability, so her Inspire is much better than it used to be. Simply because you can activate it easier. So every ability that Brig has got, so Shield Bash does damage, Whip Shot does damage, Primary Fire does damage, they all trigger Inspire, so it's very easy to keep Inspire active. And of course, she's Brig, so she's got her own personal barrier, and she's got a ton of armor and health for a support, so she's mega survivable. The best way to play Brig is to just look after your other support, while also trying to be, kind of like in the sort of the mid-range of the fight, if that makes any sense. You don't want to be on the front line, she'll get killed, but you want to be with your support, and they just won't die. And if the enemy team are trying to, push Tracers or push, let's say, I don't know, Genji's onto you, you've got a bit more of a chance to survive. And this actually is the other thing I think we should talk about now, because it's Tracer. Now, I was tempted to put Tracer into S tier as well, but I think I'm going to leave the S tier as it is, and I'm going to put Tracer in A tier, or the amazing tier. Tracer is just Tracer, right? She's highly mobile. She is insane damage at close range. She can look after herself with a mobility, with a rewind as well to get her health back. If you know where the health packs are on the map as well, you can blink around them pretty quick. You can engage, disengage, disengage. Like if you went up against a Kiriko as Tracer, Kiriko needs to headshot you. She can spam just shots into your body, which only has 40 damage per body shot, but she heal her in 5v5, simply because the maps are a bit more open. There's a lot more style game heroes being played. I guess let's do. Let's keep this. Should we keep this DPS? Let's keep this DPS. I'm gonna go for Ashe next. So Ashe. And by the way, these are in no particular order. I'm just adding them all in the amazing tier. I don't know about Ashe actually. You know what? Maybe I'll put Ashe slightly lower. I'm gonna put Ashe into the B tier. This is only because I think Soldier. Can I say that? Oh yeah. I think Soldier and definitely Sojourn are better than Ashe at what Ashe does. Ashe has some redeeming features though. I mean, she's got Bob, which is a pretty good ultimate. A Dynamite can be annoying as well. But the thing is with these two guys, they are mobile. They can look after themselves a little bit better because they're mobile. Obviously, Soldier can heal himself. Soldier is that consistent damage output as well. You remember as well the new DPS passive where after you get an elimination, you reload faster, which is obviously, and you move a bit quicker. But the reloading faster helps these guys out. And it also helps Ashe, but these are just better, so they can secure kills a little bit better as well. I think Ashe is, I don't know, maybe in some cases Ashe when she's using ADS, you land a few headshots, you're gonna kill faster than Soldier, but it's at the cost of your mobility. So while you're sitting there looking down your ADS, you might be getting harassed and getting taken out. Whereas Soldier can really. This is just because Sojourn has got the higher kill potential, effective elimination potential, let's say. Whereas with Soldier, you're spamming, you will get kills a lot. But with Sojourn, you spam with Primary Fire, and then as soon as Railgun's ready, you're just looking to kill someone. You're looking to headshot another DPS or a support and remove them from the game. And that'll happen a lot. In Overwatch 2, when it happens, it's pretty much a fight win if it's just before the engagement. So yeah, Sojourn gets the nod there over Soldier, and Sojourn's mobility is arguably better as well because she can access high ground where Soldier can't. But yeah, Ashe, she's okay, but these two guys are better. Alright, I think we'll move on to. Okay, I'm going to put. So Sombra, I'm going to stick her in A tier just because I think in a coordinated team, Sombra is going to be incredible. Sombra has got so much going on for her. She has a massive list of buffs. In Overwatch 2, she does more damage, she stays invis when she hacks, although she's detected when she does it, but invis doesn't drop, although like when she hacks you can see her doing it, but it's only for like a second, so if you don't react fast, she's instantly invis again and you don't see, so using hack doesn't break invis. Her ultimate's pretty good because obviously it knocks everyone's health down by 40% of whatever the value is. And she's just really good. I mean, when she hacks a target, she does extra damage to it, she shows the team where it is. You could, like, there is a world where Kiriko, this is going to sound crazy because Kiriko's a support, but it's almost like the rulebook is being written with this character. Kiriko and Sombra can just dive the enemy backline. Now, Kiriko can be chilling in her own backline or in the fight, healing a team, and then she can see a Sombra, and if these guys are coordinating, Sombra can hack the enemy Ana, and then Kiriko can immediately teleport to Sombra, and they can both destroy Ana. You're going to see this a lot, I think, in high level play, but it's going to take some time for this to come in. But there are so many combos with Sombra. It doesn't need to be Kiriko. I mean, that would be risky to do with Kiriko because obviously if she's out in the backline, she doesn't have cooldown, ready to go in the enemy team react fast, she could get called out of position. But Tracer, Genji, all these heroes work just as well with Sombra, setting up that attack, and she's just really powerful. Sombra is, but it depends on working with your team. But I will say assistance like I've just outlined. So yeah, she is really good. I'm so annoyed that I'm so bad with this character. I wish I was better. Maybe I'll spend some time and try and get better with it. I think she's just crap. She's just absolutely powerful in Overwatch 2. All right, now we're gonna get a bit funky because I'm gonna throw. I'm gonna throw. I want to put Torb into this tier as well. People are probably gonna think I'm smoking something special and I'm crazy because Torb. okay. I'm putting Torb in this tier because. Oh my god, I'm putting Torb in this tier because Torb is hard to kill, right? Okay, I know he's little, but Torb's got a bit of armor. So what is he, 200 health or 250 health, and he's got armor? He is great. So Torb, when he's close range, when he's using his overdrive, molten core, whatever the hell he calls it. No, it's not molten core, that's ultimate. You know what I mean? We press EO on PC. Speed speed attack speed, right? It also makes him a bit tanky as well, but speed speed attack speed, the right click, so the ultimate fire, the shotgun, is so massively damaging. This guy can just run at the enemy tank and kill it. So if Winston dives in and Torbjorn manages to catch the Winston, he will just kill him. It is like Reaper should be in this tier as well. But I would say Reaper's better than Torb, I would say. But Torb's got the long range poke with his primary fire, with the Rivet gun. Reaper doesn't have that, but Reaper has the mobility instead. So I probably would pick Reaper over Torb, but I think Torb's going to be pretty good, guys, so I'll be aware of that. But yeah, Reaper, just for the same reasons as Torb, can delete tanks from the game. If you babysit the target, which is going to be dived by an enemy dive tank, you'll just kill them. So if Winston comes in, you'll just kill him. If you want to mess around in the fight and just damage people and try and like isolate people on the flank, you can do that, you can teleport. I don't know. I think I might leave that tier at that. There is an argument for Zarya at this tier, I think. Just because I think
True.
Okay, this is going to be the last one, and it's going to be Zarya. And this is because Zarya is fun to play. That's such a terrible thing. Like, I know this is a tier list or whatever. Oh, the reason is shocking, but this is okay. So Zarya, the double bubble that you can use is pretty good because obviously you can just stop damage hitting any, hitting two people on your team if you need to use it together at the same time. Obviously, you tend to want to be able to use it on yourself. Sometimes you might double bubble yourself, because the more charge you've got, she becomes super powerful. And I think that's where I'm getting at with her. When she's charged, she is just deleting people from the game. And that's really strong, but it depends on getting charged. But because there's less barriers, you generally are getting hit more, so it's easier to get charged. But on the flip side, it does mean that Zarya is kind of like a bit feast or famine, where you're either going to play a game well and your bubble's going to be well timed and you're going to have a lot of charge and you're going to be able to keep your team alive, or your bubble's going to be trash, your team going to be dying, and they're probably going to be shouting at the swap. So I think she's amazing if you play well, but if you don't, then there's a bit of a problem. And that might be some shocking logic, because some of these other heroes, and I guess you could apply that to any hero and go, well, what if I found an amazing Cassidy? Well, then I should be an S tier. Okay, yeah, sure. But if you're an S tier Cassidy and you just played Soldier or Sojourn, you just be better. You know what I mean? That's what I'm getting at. But Zarya, yeah, she's probably the best of the brawler tanks, right? So pure brawler is basically your Junker Queen, your Roadhog, although don't know why he's a tank. And I guess it's those two, because Reinhardt fits into the sort of Sigma role, where Zarya kind of brawler tank. But basically Zarya's the best out of the pure brawler tanks by far. Okay, let's move on to the next tier now, because I don't think I really want to put anyone else in the amazing tier. No, I don't. Okay, so let's speed this up a little bit now, because I think we've got through the best heroes. We're just going to start chucking in the other heroes, giving very quick explanations as to why they are where I think they should be. And I think we're going to go with...
He has Zenyatta down there.
I think we're going to go with Zen on...
Okay.
Good. Now, Zen does high damage, so if you can land the hits with Zen, you're okay. You can fend yourself off from flankers, you can add to the team's damage. Remember that you don't do a lot of healing with Zen, although the healing is easy to apply. You just throw a Harmony Orb on a target and let them get on with it. It's obviously good for flankers and people who are further away from the team, provided you maintain line of sight. Discord Orb, though, is always going to be Zen's main attraction. So if the enemy team start playing, like, I don't know, a more tankier comp, maybe they've got a Ryan and a Reaper and God knows what. The Zen, if you just focus on Discord in the tank, you can actually kill them quite quick. So Zen is really strong. But again, Zen does suffer with his survivability, as in he doesn't have any survivability. His survivability is landing a shot. So if you are a good player, I suppose, then he's okay. But if you're not, then there are definitely better options than Zen, because if you can't look after yourself, you will just get farmed over and over again. Also, if you've got a good support with you, so if you've got like a Brig with you, or a Bap or an Anna, and they look after the Zen, Zen will be quite powerful. But again, it sort of does rely on a little bit of team coordination instead of just going straight up lone warrior. But you know, honestly, if you're looking to play Zen, as soon as Kiriko's available, play Kiriko. She's just very similar to Zen in terms of the way she does damage. Obviously, everything else is totally different to her, but I think you might be able to fit into that role quite well. But yeah, Zen, he's still okay because Discord is really, really strong, and Transcendence is really the only effective counter to Dragon Blade, which you're going to see a lot of. So I don't know, maybe we see a bit of Genji. Of course, the other counters are just killing him, right? The main counter is just killing him when he does it. Don't run away. All right, let's move on. So I'm going to go for. So I don't think Junker Queen is too bad as a tank. I don't think she's good. And I think there are better options than... No, so I think Junker Queen's okay, and I'm going to go like this, because Roadhog is... This is a bit of a hot take, right? Roadhog could be absolutely amazing on the ladder, because if the games are uncoordinated, Roadhog can just be Roadhog. He can just be, just going off on the flanks, playing the flank hog. Everyone's seen this in Overwatch 1, but he's much better in Overwatch 2 because he's got a ton more health. So he's obviously way more survivable. And if this guy's on your flanks, okay, you don't have a tank with your team, but if he's killing everyone on the flanks, then oh my god. So I think we might see a lot of solo queue warriors on Roadhog actually being quite good. However, in like a team environment, he's not a tank. This hero isn't a tank. He has no tank abilities. He's just a fat guy. That's it. It's like what? If he gets his body in your face, then yeah, he's blocking damage. But if he's not tanking anything. So, but there are better options than Roadhog, and that would be Junker Queen if you wanted to play that style of like DPS tank, I guess. Junker Queen's always got stuff to do. You're throwing out Gracie, your dagger to apply wounds, you're using Carnage, your massive axe to try and apply wounds, you shoot people with your shotgun, your melee attack. You're doing all of this. Well, you don't apply wounds with your shotgun, but all those other attacks I just spoke about do. This makes her highly survivable, and her ultimate is really, really good. So her ultimate, she just spins her axe around, flies forward. Every target she hits, she applies wounds to them, but she also anti-heals them. So Anna and Junker Queen, it's actually poetic that they're right next to each other on this list. Anna and Junker Queen are the only characters in the game that can apply anti-heal. So this is an amazing engage. She spins through the enemy team, suddenly she's in the back of their team. They're all anti-naded, and the rest of your team's running and cleaning them up. Really, really good. But yeah, she's fine. But I just think like in a tank role, obviously these two guys are just absolutely supreme, and I would definitely be looking at playing those over the Junker Queen. You got to remember as well, Junker Queen's been heavily nerfed. She was mega meta in Overwatch League, but the devs have nerfed the hell out of her for the Overwatch 2 launch, so she might even drop a bit lower. But now the other tank I'm going to throw into this tier is Orisa, just because I'm not sure. I'm really, really not sure about Orisa. So Orisa ability, although she does have movement speed increase, but she doesn't have
They change.
I'm just going to straight up say I'm not sure about Orisa. I just think Orisa could be better
Orisa,
than this. She might
slow down when she fires.
Where Orisa goes up here, right? I think Orisa might be, or even on the amazing tier. I'm just not sure about Orisa, because I still think there are better options than Orisa, but we're going to just have to wait and see, because she has been buffed, so she might be better than I think she is. I need to play some games basically with Orisa to find out, but yeah, she's a completely different hero for Overwatch 2, right? She's a total rework. She doesn't have a barrier anymore, but she does have her own defense matrix style ability, which is the javelin spin, which when she uses it, she can. Oh, sorry, I smacked my microphone. Sorry about that, guys. She does have a javelin spin, which she can spin and then rush forward, and it knocks people out of the way and also deletes projectiles. So yeah, and obviously she can throw a spear, and ultimate is kind of so-so for the tank. Ultimate's not the best. So yeah, I'm just gonna leave it there. I think she'll be okay. The things with the tanks, they're all pretty good because it's just one of them on a team, so they've all been like kind of super buffed with the exception of Hog, because he's not really a tank. So if Hog was DPS, he'd be up in amazing probably, but he's not. So anyway, let's move on. Because this video's getting too long. What the hell? I just can't help it. I just love talking about Overwatch. Okay, so I think next tier, I think we're gonna go for. Okay, so Doomfist, the simple better dive tanks than Doomfist. That is Winston, is just a better dive tank. Diva's a better dive tank. Doomfist is broke. Doomfist is just no good at the moment. You might even say Doomfist is bad, to be fair, but I think Doomfist is. I wouldn't really bother with Doomfist unless you really want to. You really enjoy his playstyle. It's difficult. He's a complicated hero to get right now. All his timings are different. They've nerfed his movement quite heavily. So he's just like, yeah, I don't know about Doomfist. I wouldn't play him. I would just pick the other dive tanks, Winston definitely, or Diva. Sorry, he's going to be more effective. Wrecking Ball. Now this is another one. This Wrecking Ball is. I kind of want to say Wrecking Ball is good, but maybe Wrecking Ball is better
than Roadhog.
Right, so I don't do it, but I'm going to do it. Screw it. I'm putting Wrecking Ball in amazing. I think Wrecking Ball is.
Oh my god. Fuck him.
Yeah, so Wrecking Ball is. Wrecking Ball is again like one of these tanks where he's really tanky, right? But his tanking is disrupting the enemy team. He does this way better than Doomfist does. And I don't think anyone can really compare to this. Because, so he's highly survivable, right? When he uses adaptive shields in the enemy team, he gets tons of shields and he just won't die. Well, tons of extra health, overhealth, whatever it is now in Overwatch 2. But he's highly mobile, he can isolate targets, and targets are generally more isolated in 5v5 anyway. So if he can keep identifying like that healer out of position or that DPS out of position, and he keeps taking them on 1v1, he will generally win those 1v1s all the time. So if you play him like that, he is amazing. I think he's simple to play well, but I think he's difficult to play amazingly well. So you need to get all of his tech down, knowing how to edge slam, knowing when to slam, knowing how to use your ultimate correctly and all that stuff. And your grappling hook, because it's kind of weird, the grappling hook. It's not like how it used to be a few years ago in Overwatch where you could just keep firing the grappling hook as soon as it's disconnected. Now you can't. There's a cooldown component attached to it, but he's so survivable. I don't think you would ever die on this character if you played him correctly. Because you can go in, slam, try and kill someone, get out. Go in, slam, try and kill someone, get out. Just keep doing that. You don't really need an organised attack like Winston might. If Winston's going in, he needs someone to come with him because he's not going to get the kill. Whereas Hammond can get the kill. go through this quick now. I know I keep saying that, but I'm going to go through it now. There are better hit scans than Bastion. I just wouldn't bother playing it unless you need loads of shield break, and in which case I don't think Bastion's worth it because it's not worth the trade-off. The rest of his abilities are terrible, and his hitbox is so massive, it's so easy to kill. Hanzo, I'm going to say Hanzo's good because you land headshots, you get the kills. That's literally, it's always been the same way with Hanzo. If you're a great Hanzo player, you'll just go through the tiers, you can play him anywhere. But if you're not the best, there are better options that you should pick for more reliable damage. But Hanzo's still okay, and again, he's highly maneuverable, you can climb. So wall climbing to get high ground positions is a very, very strong with Hanzo, and I definitely would consider doing that a lot in Overwatch 2. I think Mei is also someone I could put in this category as well, in good. There's better DPS options than Mei, but Mei does have a wall, and a wall can be very effective. Mei survivable, she can heal herself, she can cleanse herself with
That's really all
also pretty good as well.
is, yeah.
So yeah, like Mei's okay. Like I wouldn't from my avoid
she has her own
stress about Mei, I think
survivability
like, it's fine. If I had Bastion, I'd be like, oh, what the hell?
and
If I had a Hob, I'd be like, oh, avoid this player unless he kills the enemy team. Maybe no, remove him from my avoid playlist. Okay, better options. Right, this is going to pain me to do this, but I'm putting Junkrat down here. There are definitely better options than Junkrat. Junkrat's really fun to play though, but there's just a lot of better options. Junkrat's got a lot of damage that he's got a lot of damage potential, but it's very hard for him to actually damage people because I'll just move out of the way. Now there are choke points that you can spam with your primary fire and throw your concussion mines into. You can play flank rat and just go around on the flanks.
Really
and you can kill people really quick with Junkrat at point blank range. If you hit them with primary fire and throw concussion mines into them, that's killing a lot of characters in the game. That's killing DPS and support. So they're literally 1 HP left after that, and you just throw another concussion mine at them and they're dead. So he is good for that, but I think there's just a lot of better options in Junkrat. But that's not going to stop me playing Junkrat. And that's the moral of the story of this video. Play the characters that you want to play because it is the start of a new game, and it's going to be a whole new meta that starts developing. And so you can sort of chill for a while. But these guys are definitely the best. Okay, let's move on to where do I want to put Mercy actually? Ooh, Mercy. I think Mercy is
good.
I think Mercy is like a solid, good pick. And it's only because she doesn't have the burst healing of the other healers above her, really. Every other bit of Mercy's kit is fine. And I wouldn't mind, like, if you've got Mercy on your team, it's cool, whatever, take that as a support. She's got good healing output, good survivability, the ultimate's okay, but she can res, which is obviously really strong. Yeah, I think Mercy's fine, especially in 5v5, healers need to be mobile, and Mercy is, but it depends on being a good Mercy player and knowing where your allies are to actually fight them. But yeah, I think Mercy, yeah, she's good, I'd be fine with Mercy. And I guess I'm going to put Moira in next. I think I'll put Moira here as well, to be honest.
Oof. That's a big difference.
I think I'll go with Moira. It's sort of for the same reasons, right? Moira is highly survivable. She can obviously fade, which makes her impervious to damage, cleanses effects off herself, and she can move fast while she doesn't.
Moira's the only bad character.
She can get out of bad positions. She's got good AoE healing. The only problem with Moira is if the team is more spread out, because you've got maybe more dive-style heroes, it's hard for Moira to be as effective as Mercy, but I still think she can be okay in a lot of comps, and she's going to be reliable because she's hard to kill. Remember, the key thing in this 5v5 world is being hard to kill, and I don't think there are many more supports that are harder to kill
he's
than
missing
Moira. Obviously, I think
Echo.
Break probably is, but Moira's got that, ultimate fire, which leeches health of people. She can fade away, she can heal. She's pretty good, but it's sort of like,
He's missing
I'm going to put this, it's like, she works in different comps, I guess.
Wait,
If you've got more like a ball comp where your team's close together and you're all moving as a unit, take the Moira over the Mercy. But it's never going to be like that. It's never going to be Moira and or Mercy, because Mercy would still work in that comp as well. But yeah, I think she's good. Again, it's just a survivability thing. Widow. Widow. You know what? So Widow is the only hero I think here that is highly map dependent.
How is Echo
so
not in here? How did you forget about Echo?
Montesino, whatever it is. She would be, or Casino Royale, whatever it is, she would be S tier, because it's long sidelines. But then if she was on, I don't know, maybe New Queen Street, there'd probably be better options, you know what I mean? Pick another DPS. So I'm just going to put her as good, and it's a massive cop-out this is, but like, she's highly map dependent. So if you're on Junkertown, play Widow on the first point, yes, very good, loads of sight lines. But if you're on a map that's more close in, and there's more line of sight blockers, and that's another thing to remember. In Overwatch 2, a lot of the older maps have got extra bits of terrain added to them, so it does make it a little bit more easier for enemies to hide behind them. Widow could be a little bit weaker, but yeah, the thing is as well, it's 5v5, there's less barriers, there's one less tanks, there's one less thing for Widow to worry about, there's one less dive tank to come after her. So if she's just sitting there free firing, she will just dominate the game. So again, this is going to be a character that's really, really strong. Can be countered, and generally gets countered by the map that she's on, but yeah, pay attention to Widow, she could be next level. Pharah, oh my god.
Oh my god.
I just realised there's no Echo on this list. There's no Echo.
Okay.
I'm gonna put Pharah.
What to say? What the fuck?
Okay, I'm gonna put Pharah here because there are better options than Pharah, and the better option is Echo. And Echo would go into sort of good, I would say. Maybe amazing, but probably good. I don't know. Might be amazing. So here's the thing. So Pharah is very easy to kill for hit scan. She's easier to hit than Echo is, right? If you've got a Mercy pocket with Pharah, it's still gonna be quite strong. But you should just play Echo. Don't play Pharah, play Echo. In which case you can then dive on target. So if you're playing like dive, imagine if you had this team comp up here, and then like you had well, obviously we wouldn't have Sigma. So Sigma was out of this, but you had Echo in there instead of Sigma. So imagine this is Echo. This would be fine. You know what I mean? It's like, hey, cool, we'll go for that. Because Kiriko's actually really good at healing targets in the air as well. But yeah, I would put Echo probably. Amazing might be a bit too generous. Maybe it's good. No, I'm just going to leave Echo in an imaginary tier between them. Ultimate cop out. But yeah, Pharah's like there are just better options than Pharah. You're probably going to find it quite difficult to get a lot of value with Pharah, just because it's more open the game is. And Pharah, she's in the air and she's kind of. I mean, you can play Pharah in like a close range dive style, but at that point you're better off playing Echo. Reinhardt is good. Yeah. I mean, he's the only like pure barrier tank. So sometimes I'll be a call for him. He does struggle in Overwatch 2. He's not the Giga Chad tank he once was, even though he's got 2 5 strikes now and he can control his charge better. He still suffers because there's just a load of better options.
So you can do that. I thought I saw someone do that when I was.
Oh my lord, the Sim haters. I could put Bastion down on this tier. Screw it, well, Bastion can go on that tier as well. Because I just don't know why you would play Bastion. And Sim she's bad when she's played on most of the Overwatch 2 maps. She's bad when she's played in most of the Overwatch 2 comps. But there are times when Sim can be really, really strong. I think what is happening here is, if you look at this tier list, and if I was to get Kiriko, and then put Sim next to Kiriko, and we look at these two heroes, one is an old Overwatch hero with a kit designed before the game launched. This is a hero designed for Overwatch 2 with a kit for Overwatch 2. And the difference, it's just night and day. Kiriko, highly mobile, self-sufficient, amazing character. Sim, she's based around, well, turrets that don't move. That's a problem in a world where everybody's moving. So, alright guys, I'm going to leave this video at that now. I don't think
I do think
there's much more we can say, to be honest, about this. Remember, though, it is early days in Overwatch, so things will change. I guess if you are looking for a hit stand DPS, definitely I'll be looking at Soldier or Sojourn. If you want to play a flanker, take a look at Genji and Tracer.
Especially when she used to have fucking, what's her name's? Regular Moria's fire, where we just lock onto people.
Lucio, Anna, Batista, Brick, and then for tank, it's dive tank's got to be Winston, and any other tank is Sigma. I think that's probably where we're going for. Alright guys, thanks for listening to the video. This has been a bit of a meaty one, but it's been
fun. Okay, well, rip. Can't get into a game. I guess we'll try later. Wait. Give it one more shot. See what it says. Nope. Okay, we'll cancel.